Now, whilst we're able to add products to the cart now with this code, let's make sure we can also display them when fetching them, when going to the carts page here, to this page. Because right now, we don't support this page because we still have that route commented out, and we got no logic to fetch all cart items anyways. So time to go into the controllers folder, into the shop.js file, where we do have the get cart route. Now, this request user get cart thing will not work anymore. So let's make it work. Let's go back to the user model, and in there we have add to cart. Let's now also call or add a get cart method. You could name it however you want, of course. The idea here is that we do indeed return the cart items, so that in the controller we have the cart items there and we can start outputting them. In the end, what we need, as you can tell, is just the products, right? So we want to have a list of the products with the respective quantities. Now, getCart exists on the user who already has this cart property. This is the MongoDB way of thinking about relations. We don't need to reach out to a cart collection because there is no such collection. Instead here, we can simply return this cart, and that's it. This gives us access to the user cart. Obviously, we could have directly accessed the cart property on the user if we wanted to. You could add more logic to transform it or anything like that, but in the shop.js controller, I can now already call getCart and have the cart therefore. Now on that cart, I can't call getProducts though. But I don't need to because the products are also already included in the cart, or at least their references, right? Because what I'm storing in the user model with add to cart is the ID of every product. This is what we store. Now, and that is exactly something we can change in getCart. Instead of just returning this cart, it would be interesting to return a fully populated cart. So a cart with all the product details, which we also require. And to do this, we of course have to reach out to the database again. So let's get access to our database client. And let's return the result of a database operation, where I do reach out to the products collection now, because I have all the user data, I have all the cart data. Now I need to fill it with some life from the products database. And there, I want to find all products that are in my cart. Now, how can I do that? Well, for this, we can use a special query syntax MongoDB supports. In find, I can say, I want to find all products where _ID is equal to. And now I don't pass an ID here because I'm not looking for a single ID. Instead, I pass an object because this allows me to use some special MongoDB query operators, of which there are many, covered in detail in my MongoDB course or in the official docs, of course. But we're looking for the $in operator. And this operator takes an array of IDs, and therefore every ID which is in the array will be accepted and will get back a cursor which holds references to all products with one of the IDs mentioned in this array. So all we need to do is construct such an array. So product IDs can be constructed by using this cart items. And remember, this is an array of objects that look like this. So objects that have a product ID and the quantity. Now we're only interested in the product ID here. So I'll simply map this. This is a default JavaScript function. I'll map this to transform every item in there, and I simply want to return the product ID. So what I'm doing is I'm mapping an array of items where every item is a JavaScript object into an array of just strings, of just the product IDs. And this is then stored in this new product IDs constant. This is then my array which I want to use here to tell MongoDB, give me all elements where the ID is one of the IDs mentioned in this array here. So this gives me a cursor with all the matching products. Now I'll again use toArray to quickly get that converted to a JavaScript array. And then I'll add a then method. So in this then method, I'll have all my product data for the products that were in my cart. Now, of course, we want to add the quantity back to every product because that is something that is important to us. Now, how can we get that information back into there? Well, in this then block, I'll again return a mapped version of my data, so a mapped version of my products array, where every product will be converted a little bit. I'll return a new object for every product, which is fine because every product is an object. And I'll distribute all the existing properties. So I want to keep all the data I retrieved. But then I'll add a new quantity property. And that quantity property, of course, needs to be populated with data I know or I have on that product. Now, we, of course, have the products stored in the cart of this user. So what I can do is I can use this cart and make sure you use arrow functions here to ensure that this inside of this function still refers to the overall class. With normal functions, it would not. So I'll use this cart in here, access my items, and simply find the item with that ID at hand here. So here I'll have my cart item again, and I will return true if that item has a product ID to string that is equal to the product underscore ID to string of the product we just fetched from the database. So this can look confusing, but in the end I have an array of products here, fresh from the database. Then I want to transform this, which I'm doing with map. Map takes a function it executes on every element in products, which describes how to transform this element. Here I'm basically returning the new value, which is an object, where I still have all the old product properties, but I add a new quantity property, and to get the right quantity for that given product, I reach out to my cart items, which exist on that user, and I again use a built-in JavaScript method, find, to look at all elements in cart items with this function here, and then identify the one product where the product ID I'm storing in my cart items matches the ID of the product I fetched from the database. And since with map I'm going through all these products, this will also vary for every run. Now the last thing is, this whole thing here, the whole find method, in the end just gives me the product object. I want to get the quantity though. So now from the cart items I have, I extract the quantity for the given product. And now with that code, getCart should return products which are enriched with all the data that is stored in the products collection. Because in users in the cart, we only store the reference, and this is what we need to do in MongoDB. If we then have a connection between two collections with a reference, we need to merge them manually, as we are doing it here. And with that merging being done manually here, we can now use that data. So getCart should now return a cart with all the information we need. So on the user, we can call getCart. And then we know we get back some products here. So we can delete that here, as well as this. And then render our view with the products we fetched. Now on that view, so the shop cart view here, we just need to make sure we output our products correctly, because we cycle through them. But now, due to the way how we merge this, every product will itself already have the quantity here. And whenever we use .id, we should have underscore ID, as you learned. Let's see if that works by going to our routes folder and there the shop.js file. And let's add that getCart route again. So I'll reload this cart page here, and this is looking pretty good. Now let me add a new product, third, with some image and some description. Now this exists, not in the cart though, unless I add it to the cart. Once I do that and I go to the cart, we see it there too. Now the one thing that is still not working is that if I do add a cart item, we're stuck. Let's fix this in the next lecture.